So whenever we have upper bound and lower bound, we have some sort of accuracies. For example, I tell you that someone is asking what is the distance between these two places A and B, and I tell them that it is 12 kilometers, and they ask me that is it exact 12 kilometers. So I'll tell them to nearest 100 meter. Nearest 100 meter would mean that it would be either 12 kilometer plus 50 meters or minus 50 meters, which is 12,000 plus minus 50. So the upper bound will be 12,050 and lower bound will be 11,950. The difference between these two is still 100 meters. So this is upper bound and lower bound with the limits. Now how do we write it? Whenever we have to write as inequality, this is 11,950 less than equal to x and less than 12,050. This sign is really important. Number 1 and number 2. Let me choose some easy values. For example, I say that this is 1000 plus minus 50. So if I write the upper bound, this will be 1050 and lower bound this would be 950. Now if I have to round it back, when I round 950 I will get 1000, but when I round 1050 I will get 1100. That is why we are not actually choosing 1050. So this is the inequality how we write it. For example, we say that there was a football match and we say 55,000 people attended it to the nearest 1000. So whenever they say nearest 1000, what do? We add and subtract half of it. So plus minus 500 to the nearest 1000. So when I subtract 500 I get 54,500. If I round this off to the nearest 1000, this is units, this is tens, this is hundreds, this is thousand, right? So when we round it off to the nearest 1000, am I getting 55,000? The original number. And when we add it, this is 55 plus 500. So if I round this off to the nearest 1000, what do I get? Are you with me? RS, Ali? So when I round this to the nearest 1000, what do I get? This will become 56,000 because of that 5. But the actual answer was 55, not 56. So that is why we write this 5,500 is included and the upper limit 5,500 is not included. So basically what I can do is I can reduce 1 and write 5,5,499 if there are number of people. Now I can change my inequality to these symbols and I've included this equality sign. You see this? Upper bound, lower bound. Upper bound is not included because when you will round it back you will not get the answer as stated. The length of the page of a book is 246 millimeters to the nearest millimeter. So nearest millimeter would mean plus minus half of it. So the upper bound of the measurement, we will add this 246.5. What is the lower bound? We will subtract this 245.5. I think the book has swapped it. 46 is upper and 45 is lower. Few more examples. Measurement. The diameter of CD is 12 centimeters to nearest centimeters, and be very careful, sometimes we have different units. These are same at the spot. To the nearest centimeter. Nearest centimeter would mean half of centimeter, add and subtract. So 12.5, 11.5. So when they say to the nearest 0.1, half of this is plus minus 0.05. So 6, when you add 62, 6.2 with 0.05, you get 6.25. When you subtract 0.05, you get 6.15. The length of fence is 330 meters to the nearest 10 meters. So nearest 10 means plus minus 5. To the nearest 5 minutes means 2.5 minutes. Getting it? Let's try the exercise. In a DIY store, the height of the door is given as 195 centimeters to the nearest centimeter. Write down the upper bound. So when it is nearest centimeter, we are adding or subtracting half. So, and he is interested in upper bound only. So 195 plus 0.5 is 195.5 centimeters. Try question number 2. A vet measures the mass of a goat at 37 kgs to the nearest kg. What is the least possible mass? Your answer. Aris, your voice is breaking. So what is the mass? Least possible mass? The vet measures the mass of the goat nearest 37 to the nearest kg. Nearest kg, that means 1 kg. So plus minus half, yes. So lower end is 36.5 kgs. Try question number 3. A farmer's scale measures the mass to the nearest 0.1. So what will we add or subtract? Half of this 0.1, which is 0.05. So what is the upper bound for the mass of the chicken which scales 3.2 kg? 3.25 kg. Question 4. A surveyor using a laser beam device can measure a distance to the nearest 0.1 meter. That means plus minus 0.05, always half of the accuracy. So what is the least possible length of the warehouse which he measures? 95.6. So what will we do for the least? We'll subtract the accuracy and get 95.55 meters. In a 200-meter race at school, Stephanie was timed at 28.6, correct to 1 decimal place. Now, in the previous questions, he's already telling you what the accuracy is, and we are adding and subtracting half of it. In this case, this is a double step question. We need to find the accuracy first. So it says correct to 1 decimal place, which would be 0.1. and half of that is 0.05. So this is what we are going to add and subtract. So the upper bound for her time is the given value plus the bound, and we get 28.65 seconds. Temperature in the fridge to nearest degree. That means 1 plus minus 0.5. So 2.5, 1.5. Try B part. Mass of an archon to 1 decimal place. So what are the values upper and lower? Upper is always easy when we need to add something. Very good. 2.35 and 2.25. C part. Length of telephone cable is 64 to nearest meter. Very good. Time taken to run 100 meters is 13.6 to nearest 0.1. .65 and 13.55, because we are adding and subtracting half of 0.1, which is 0.05. E part. The time taken to do my homework is 45 minutes. Correct to the nearest 5 minutes. Upper and lower bound. Very good. 47.5 and 42.5. First we are adding and subtracting 2.5. The length of a carton of milk is measured 193 to the nearest millimeter. The length lies between. Okay, this time answer is given, we just have to select it. A, B or C? We've done 6 questions including those parts. You're still thinking answer is right in front of you. Exact value is given 193, right? What is the accuracy? B, yes. Nearest millimeters mean half of that. So this is B. Question number 8. Mass of the suitcase is 35 kgs to nearest kg. So the mass lies between A, B or C. C. Nearest kg means 0.5 plus minus. Question number 9. Atra and Leela each measure a different worm and they both say that their worm is 11 centimeters long to the nearest centimeter. Does this mean that both worms are the same length? Yes or no? This is a no. Because upper and lower limits are different. Nearest centimeter means 11.5 and 10.5. 10.5 less than equal to the length is less than 11.5. Do you agree with this inequality? So they may have different lengths. Maybe someone is having 10.6, maybe someone is having 11. So it is not necessary that their length is same. But definitely their length would be between this inequality. B part. If not, what is the maximum possible difference in the two lengths? So maximum possible difference is 1 centimeter. which is the difference between the upper limit and lower limit. Clear? Number 10. To the nearest centimeter, the length L of a stapler is 12 centimeters. As inequality, you write 11.5 and 12.5. Be careful with these signs. The lower end always have the sign of less than equal to, and the upper end has the sign of only less than. For part A to J, you are given the measurements. Write the possible values using the inequality. Okay. So firstly, we have to decide what we have to add and subtract. A part says mass is 17 to two significant figures. Two significant, if I see this is 1, this is 7. So up to two significant figures. What are we looking at? This is decimal place is very much clear. One decimal place. I'll come back to this. Let me try C first. The decimal places. So when we look at the decimal place, the length is 2.4 and it is correct to one decimal place. So one decimal is 0.1, half of which would be plus minus 0.05. So how do we write the inequality? This is 2.45 and on the lower end this is 2.35. Lower end is included and upper is not included. So decimal places are very clear when we talk about two decimal. This is two significant. Two decimal is it somewhere in E part. E part is 2.04 and it says two decimal places. So two decimal places 0.01 divided by 2 makes it 0.005. So upper end would be 2.045 and lower end it would be 2.035, which is included and the other end is not included. Clear? And